The Sportsocracy.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man!
Welcome back into the Ingles studio. It is the Sportsocracy live on ESPN Asheville, and the team-by-team draft needs roll on here. The NFL draft coming up at the end of this month, and we will have every pick covered live on the YouTube stream all 3 days.
3 weeks from today.
Yes.
Oh, Draftmas tree, oh, Draftmas tree.
So today, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. What did they need in this NFL draft? Stephen Tao, loyal member of the House of Reprehensibles, has thrown out quarterback, coach, and J.J. Watt to unretire.
Control A, select all. They need everything. This is the worst roster in this league. It's not even close. And with all these stories about how dysfunctional this is, look, going into the coaching search, we thought it was Kyler Murray that was keeping coaches from really being interested in this. There are so many things going on in Arizona. It's kind of hard to wrap your brain around. It all started with that report card that the NFL PA put out they don't even provide you lunch. You have to pay for the food that you get out of the building, and this place is a dumpster fire, and it all starts with the ownership group. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, that third pick may end up being a gold mine. If Houston really is serious about taking Will Anderson at 2 and just bypassing quarterback for a year, and C.J. Stroud sitting on the board at 3, somebody will come off a king's ransom to get up there. Now, you saw what Chicago got for 1. Mm-hmm. Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud sitting there at 3, somebody is coming up.
All right, because it can be seen as almost as good as the number 1 pick in the draft.
And, I mean, you just have a lack of talent with the Cardinals. I mean, outside of Budda Baker, there's not a really good player on the defense. Now, I do think there are pieces that Jonathan Gannon's going to be able to use that he will get more out of than – I mean, and I don't think Vance Joseph's a bad coach. I don't think it ever fit. And then you have this weird gimmicky offense with Kyler Murray, and you put the defense in bad situations because they turn the ball over, a lot of 3-and-outs. I just don't see this team looking that way. But if I'm Arizona, I'm drafting the best player available every time I come on the clock, which is why I said if I got stuck at 3, I'm taking Bijan Robinson. And is that positional value great? No. He's best player left if Will Anderson's gone.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've committed to Kyler Murray. He may miss half of the year. And there's just not a lot of high-level players on this team. You know, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know what you're going to do there. If he comes back, at least you've got weapons because you got Hollywood Brown, you got DeAndre Hopkins, you got Rondale Moore, and Zach Ertz. So I actually think offensively you would be able to move the ball. I find the Jonathan Gannon hire to be very strange with the combination of talent you have offensively. This is the reason you don't hire a coach like Cliff Kingsbury. Mm-hmm. Because you got all these players that fit for him, and now you've got to try to cobble this together for a year to put a coherent offense out on the field. We talked about this with Tyreek Hill. There's not a lot of call for 30-year-old receivers in this league. And look, DeAndre Hopkins is phenomenal. And somebody will come off a pick. I don't think it's as high of a pick as you want it to be. If it was, it would already have happened. Mm-hmm. But defensively, this team is bad, but bad. They have 8 picks in this draft. I would not be shocked if they went full Carolina Panthers and did not take an offensive player in the entire class.
Really?
I mean, I don't think it would be a bad idea. Name me a secondary worse in this league than the Arizona Cardinals have right now.
Well, as you said, you got Budda Baker, end message, repeat the line.
I mean, your corners right now are Marco Wilson and Rashad Fenton, who had a good year. I mean, the 4 years of his career, he's had one good year, and it was not as a no-doubt one. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like every player on this team, you don't have anybody that gets after the quarterback particularly well. You haven't drafted well. I mean, the Zaven Collins thing has been – I'll be nice and say it hasn't gone the way you wanted it to. I really want to say it's been an absolute abject disaster. Isaiah Simmons. I don't even know what position he plays at this point. I mean, is he a slot corner? Is he a safety? I don't know.
Yeah.
But hopefully Jonathan Gannon can get the most of those two players. I guess it will be at linebacker. And it gives you one of the fastest linebacker cores in the league. But the front four is not good.
He rotates. I mean, that's the thing about Isaiah Simmons is he rotates. I mean, you look at the official depth chart. He's listed as both a safety and a linebacker. Which, in these days, you want to be, quote-unquote, multiple with your
I
defense.
Get that. I mean, I think having a coach like Jonathan Gannon that I've seen get the most out of players is going to help. But you just have a serious lack of talent on the defense.
And how do you do that? How do you make that better? Well, you use that number 3 pick on Will Anderson, and if you don't get opportunity,
I don't agree with you.
Really,
I think the best thing that could happen to the Arizona Cardinals is that Will Anderson goes at 2, because then it forces you to trade down and get capital for future years. Because I got news for you: there's nobody in this class that you're going to draft that's going to fix this defense. You put Will Anderson on this, guess what? I'm just going to double team him because he's the only player on this defense that I have any fear of getting anywhere near my quarterback.
But you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
You start with the building block.
But see, for me, I want the building block for me is the draft capital because you're all right. Let's say you move down to 11. All right, I'm still going to get Joey Porter Jr. or Devin Witherspoon or I'm trying to think of players that will fall in line there.
I was going to say that it feels like that makes the most sense.
Well, here's the question. Which would you rather have, Will Anderson and nothing or Devin Witherspoon and a future 1 and 2?
Oh, I'll go the latter.
And to me, it's not even close. I feel like you're going to get intoxicated into taking Will Anderson if you stay there. But that's not the best case scenario for you. You need to hope that Monty Ossenfort brought some intelligent scouts with him, and your draft record gets better over time. But, I mean, I would argue, and I don't really know that there's one close, this is the least talented roster in the league.
More than Houston.
I would rather have Houston's talent. In terms of young players, there are more young players on the Houston Texans roster that I feel like are going to be building block pieces than the Arizona Cardinals have.
Okay.
Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie. You tell me what the Cardinals have that's – I've got a 4'7" quarterback that's coming off an ACL injury, a 30-year-old receiver that's probably the most talented player on your team, a 5'9" slot guy, and a 5'9" outside receiver who beats fast real good, and that's all he does.
And Buda Baker.
I mean, your high water mark on defense is a strong safety. Awesome. I mean, and I like the guy. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm looking at the other 10 going, this is not an NFL roster. I mean, there is not a building block piece, I don't believe, on the entire roster. Defensively.
Yeah. Tyler Cunningham in the YouTube comment says, want to know why the scouting is so bad in Arizona? Just to ask how much they pay.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's the problem with Arizona. The problems with Arizona start at the ownership level, and it just – there's the old saying of excrement rolls downhill. It's the problem with Arizona. I mean, the Bidwell family is not an NFL ownership group. They don't have the money. They don't put the money into it. You've had some runs of success that really put lipstick on the pig. But, I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it.
Yep.
There's a lot going on there. And, I mean, I feel bad for the fan base. I really do. It would be hard for me. Now, knowing what I know about what goes on inside that building, it would be hard for me to give my money to it.
I would agree.
I mean, to me, there's a difference between the Jets, who have one of the most wealthy owners in the league, and he pours a ton of money into this team. I go back to the Lions in the late 90s, early 2000s. It would be hard for me to give money to that. Because for you, this is a financial investment, and you really don't seem to care about the product on the field or the people in the building. So, I mean, I feel bad for Cardinals fans. I want it to get better. You got a long road to hoe.
The best path forward for Arizona may very well be just trading off that number 3 pick. If it happens to be that one of the quarterbacks is still there, whether it be Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, you can get a lot for that and fill in these holes and hammer the defensive side of the ball in the 2023 NFL Draft, which we will cover every pick live right here in the Sportsocracy. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can join us for that, because they will not allow us to do our draft coverage on FCC-controlled airwaves.
Nope, because there's way too many words that would get us in trouble.
Indeed. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 3 right here in the Ingles studio on ESPN Asheville.